Hello everyone, thank you for joining. We are just waiting for others to join. Okay, so it's good to see a lot of people here. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining on this Saturday afternoon. We are the team from CNC Hyderabad organizers, and in my team we have Ashwati, Nitya, Pragya, and Priyanka from CNC Hyderabad team, and we have Rishi. So Ashwati will take it all from here. Before that, Pragya, can you please start the recording as well?
Yes, I've already started it.
Okay, okay. Okay, then I think we can just start, or should we also wait for a few minutes? Rishi, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, okay. Okay. Cool. Okay, Ashwati, over to you now.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ashwati Biju, one of the South Zone coordinators of City Nature Challenge India and an intern at WWF India at Hyderabad. I'll be a host for today's session. Before we dive into our discussion, I want to extend a warm welcome to each one of you. It's fantastic to see so many participants joining us today. Thank you for being here. As we kick off, I'd like to encourage all the participants to introduce themselves in the chat section. Please share your name and the city you're joining us from. Let's create a welcoming environment and get to know each other a bit better. Now, let's get started with our session on the golden principles of graphic design with City Nature Challenge India. In today's session, we'll explore how mastering the fundamentals of graphic design can elevate your content creation for the City Nature Challenge activities. For those new to CNC, it's an annual global event where participants explore and document biodiversity in urban areas using the iNaturalist app, a citizen science platform. Originating as a local event in Los Angeles, CNC has grown into a worldwide initiative with participants from many cities across India alone. And this year, we have over 200 cities joining in. Using iNaturalist, participants upload photos and identify species encountered in their surroundings, contributing valuable data to biodiversity research. Today, we'll dive into the principles of graphic design to help you craft visually compelling content for CNC that effectively communicates your observations and engages your audience. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce our speaker for today, Rishikesh Kedare. Rishikesh sir hails from Pune, Maharashtra, and holds a Bachelor of Fine Arts from Government School of Arts, Aurangabad, and a Master of Design from the National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad. Currently, he works as a visual communication designer at a fintech firm in Hyderabad. Throughout the session, feel free to ask questions in the chat section, and towards the end, we will be dealing with them. And I will also be providing a brief tutorial in iNaturalist chat if you guys are interested. Additionally, please note that right after this session at 6 p.m., there will be an elaborate session on CNC and iNaturalist, the link to which will be shared in the chat. Let's embark on this journey to enhance our design skills and make a lasting impact with our CNC contributions. Over to you, sir.
Hello, everyone. Very first question. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Rishi.
Okay, great. Thank you for having me here. And I want to have this session as interactive as possible so that there is a lot more sharing and learning happens. So please feel free to ask questions during the session as well as after the session also. So should I start sharing the screen or should we wait for some more time?
I think we can start. And the audience can also use the reactions.
Ashwati, should we start?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Surely.
yes.
Okay, great. I'll share the screen then. So when we create any design, a lot of psychology goes behind it. And so there are two major areas in the design. One is conceptual and another is execution part. So today we're going to learn more about the conceptual part and little about the execution. If you know how to design, the tools doesn't matter, whether you are using Illustrator, whether you're using Canva or even PowerPoint. If you know how to design well, you could design it in any software. While there are so many principles of graphic design, there are certain principles which are the topmost. Like if you stick to them, you can have the best possible design within the constraints of time, size, content, and medium. So today we'll start about those 5 golden principles, and let's go with the first one. I hope I'm audible. If you can't hear me, just let me know, okay? Otherwise, I'll keep continuing like that.
Yeah,
Sure,
we
sir.
request, yeah, and we encourage all the participants to please use the reactions option available on Zoom. So, you know, you all can give thumbs up, you can, you know, do claps, and, you know, you can show some hearts to Rishi. So please use that as frequently as possible so that we can give the live feedback. Okay, Rishi, continue.
Yeah. So while designing, the very first golden principles is order, or you can also say the hierarchy. So when you are designing something, there should be an order of the content. Okay, you can't have entire content in the single order of a single importance. So how do you do that? So you can use the size, the color, and the position of the content to create the order. Like you see in this very page itself, there is an order of the content. This is a heading, there is a subheading, there is a body copy. Just like this, if you create an order, it becomes very easy for viewer to understand what you're trying to communicate. How do you go about it? Do you guys want to talk about it, ask questions slide by slide? Ram, do they have the ability to unmute and talk, or how's it?
Yes, yes. Yes, yes, they can unmute and talk at any time. And if they have any questions, they can raise their hand or they can directly unmute themselves and talk. So
Okay.
I think you can, yeah, I think you, for now, you can just continue. If anyone has any questions, they can ask. Otherwise, we'll anyways have the floor open for questions in the end.
Okay, sure. What I mean by order is, let me share the poster of this workshop itself. So there is an order of the content if you see, and based on the order you create, users or viewers are gonna see your poster or the communication. What is very, very important, then what is secondary, what is tertiary, and what is the least important. Here, if you see this part, I felt is least important here. And that's why I kept it in a small size as well as lightweight. I hope we are clear with the order. You can show thumbs up just so that I know. Okay, I could see some thumbs up because
Yeah,
I
Rishi,
can't. Yeah.
yeah, Rishi, I hope you are showing only the presentation, not some other photos, because we can only see the presentation on the screen.
Ram, can you repeat a bit? Your voice is a bit low.
I was saying that if you are showing anything other than the presentation, let us know so that we can ensure that it is visible on the screen. Right now, we can only see the presentation.
Uh, no, your voice is breaking in between for me.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah. Can you please
Uh,
someone repeat what Ram was saying?
Ram sir was confirming that right now you are just showing the presentation, right? Not anything else, because we can see the first number written order. That's what we all can see. I hope
Oh,
आप show कर रहे हो.
okay. In between, I showed the post. Thanks for checking. There are a couple of other screens that I want to share. So let me reshare it. I think I have to select multiple screens while sharing.
Yes.
Okay, can you guys see the poster?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, so what I was talking about, here is the order you can see, order of the content. There is a primary content as a heading, which I want to be in a bigger size and very clear. Then there is a secondary, there is a tertiary content. And this part I was talking about, which is I felt as a least important. That's why I kept it in a smaller size and the light variation of the font. This was about order, the very first principle. Let's go to the second one, alignment. There should be an alignment for all the content in your design, okay? So while designing, you shouldn't be placing any of the content just like that. There should be some sort of connect with other content that is available in the design. So how do you align it? How do you choose it? So you choose based on what is easy and convenient to read for the user, as well as what connects those elements with each other. Let me show you again the poster. Can you see an alignment here?
Yes.
That makes it easier for the user to follow the eye and read it. Even if you see the logo, it is aligned here, left aligned. So when you align the content in this way, it makes the design better in terms of its communication, in terms of its functionality. So in any design, there's always a part that is functional and there is a part that is aesthetic. We should always be focusing on functional first and then aesthetic. And how do you know the best design? The best design is the perfect balance between functionality and aesthetics. Something that is functionally communicates the message perfectly, as well as there is an aesthetic to it. Let me show you another poster. So even this poster, I hope you can see the another poster that I'm sharing.
No, we are still seeing the golden principles poster.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So here you can see there's an alignment for the content, which makes it easy to read and understand. Everything is aligned properly here. If you see, even this visual is aligned here. This bottom line is also aligned here. None of the element in your design should be placed like it's there just like that as a separate element. So this was about alignment. Let's go to the next one, which is the balance. Can you see the balance in the slide that you are seeing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So balance, so everything that you put, the element, the visual, the text, everything has its weight, okay? Depending on how big, how small, how colorful, and how light or dark it is. And using those elements, you can create the visual balance. So you can use the size, color, and the position of the element to create the visual balance in the design. So in this slide itself, you can see this balance, this title is so big. If I put, and hence to balance it out, I place the text here. Even the colors I used in the background, I used in a way that the slide looks balanced. If I put this text, the body copy below this balance, it will look imbalanced.
Right.
Let's check this same thing in the poster also. Okay. See this. Now the entire content is placed in a way that it looks balanced to the poster. Suppose if I move even this textual part somewhere below the mobile in a smaller size, this part will look imbalanced. Okay? To balance it out, I also place the logos at the bottom, if you see, in a horizontal manner. I also had the chance to place this logo here, okay? But it will leave this space unbalanced. So while designing, look at all the elements in a way that you could create a visual balance in your design. And how do you do that? you play with the color, you play with the size, you play with the position of the element. If certain elements you feel, the text looks lighter, you add darker color to it. It becomes heavier. If you feel certain elements is quite big, you make it light color, you make the smaller size, you place them at the little below or bottom, their weight goes down. So this was about the balance. And the next principle that we're going to talk about is a compose. Okay, so when you start designing, there are a lot of elements. There is a text, there is a visual, there are logos. So all those elements in your design should be an active part of a single composition. They should not look as a separate things. Okay, and that's where the composition comes in. Uh, how how do you choose that? The very basic and simple way, you try placing different placements for each element, and that's how we professionally design. We put all the elements in the canvas, and then you start exploring. Where do I place it so that it looks balanced? Where do I place it so that it looks in the order? Where do I place it so that it creates the hierarchy? And that's how you should explore. If you see this slide, it looks well composed. There's a heading, there's a subheading, there's a body copy, and wherever there is a space, these lines are added dotted lines. It creates some sort of composition that gives you balanced look. Now let's check the same composition in the poster that we have. If you see the half part, here's a weight of visual, the logo, and the text. And this side, there's a text. There are some small visuals, and together they create a composition that looks balanced to the eyes, and that's how it works. So when we say we like certain designs, we do not like certain designs, there is this psychology behind those posters or the visuals that goes, and that makes you whether you like the design or not like the design. Whether there are ad campaigns, successful or failure, a lot of it depends upon what is the thought process behind those posters. And the last, but not the least, very important element is the contrast. And I'm sure you guys will be practicing this as well. So there should be, good contrast in your design. Contrast not necessarily mean in the color. Contrast is anything that breaks the monotonous appeal. It could be the way you put the text. It could be with the way you, put the colors, visuals, anything that breaks the subtle monotonous visual appeal that could be, used as a contrast. Here you can see I use the bright yellow and the black. And it's creating strong contrast, making the contrast word very strongly visible as a heading. Another way to create contrast is the text. You can see the way I placed it here. It still serves the purpose, but it's breaking the monotonous appeal. Monotonous appeal that we see in the other slides. So I have specifically designed these slides just for you guys to explain each of these principles. And hence, in each of these slides, that particular principle I have highlighted more than the rest of the 4 principles. So here you can see the contrast and how the design is, making it more attractive, more effective with the use of contrast. If I had used any medium tone here or darker tone, this wouldn't have been possible to create this strong contrast for the word title here. Now let's check the same principle in the posters. Can you see there is a light background? Since the logo is dark green, we can't change the logo. We choose the light background. Even here also. Now, depending on the subject, you could choose the colors, okay? And yeah, this was the 5 principles. Now, there are a lot of other things that I want to talk about, but before we move ahead, I want to hear from you guys what you understood from this and the questions that you guys will have. Okay, any
Rishi, I have a
questions?
doubt.
Yeah, sure. Please shoot it.
So basically, sometimes we have lots of content, like 2, 3 paragraphs of content, having two,
Hmm.
3 sentences.
Yeah.
Then we kind of get confused ki how to place that in a poster. Like any ideas how to place it and how to
Yes.
align it.
Yeah. Into 2 or 3 communications. The reason for that is that one, obviously, it compromises on the readability because you have to make the smaller size of the text. And again, second part is that when someone sees too much text in a single post, they tend to avoid it because it's going to take some time, right? So ideally, if you have a
Yes.
lot more text, try to break it into 2, 3 communications.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Rishi, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other things, guys? So what you understood from these, the questions around these principles, as well as any other challenges that you face while designing. So I'm done mostly on my slides and presentation. I want to keep this remaining time for the Q&A so that I could address some of the challenges that you guys are facing while designing.
Sir, someone has asked in the chat box. I'll speak the question to you.
Sure.
They've asked, can you share a few other examples of posters where these principles are implemented and maybe bad examples alongside them for contrast?
Okay.
I mean, usually we understand more when we see things are wrong here and right here. So that way, I think a comparison like this, or at least seeing these principles in work will be better with the help of examples, more examples.
Okay. Can you guys see this poster?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here you could see those principles, okay? You could apply those principles and make it better. What do you think? Let me share the posters. Actually, I could just take you guys to the Google and share what I feel as a good posters. Okay, can you guys see the Google window?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we discussed about the 5 principles. Now I want to hear from you guys what you feel is a good design and what is not so good design. Okay, tell me about it.
I personally feel the contrast it isn't as focused in this one. Like both of the colors are dark, so a
Hmm.
little bit lighter color could have been used for the background.
Yes. Okay, so somebody had questions, right? Good poster, bad posters. So I'll share my thoughts on these posters. First of all, here I feel there is too much of content in too less space. And there is a space, the text size could have been bigger. The text is not well composed. If you see, it looks just like dropped randomly here and there. So basically, you could actually literally check on the principles that we just spoke about: order, alignment, balance, compose, and contrast. So those principles works in a both way. Okay, when you are designing for yourselves, you could check on those principles. And other thing is that when you are reviewing someone else's design, or when you are checking out the designs, you could check on these scales. Okay, is there an order? Is there an alignment? Is there a balance? Is there composition? Is there a contrast? If any design having these principles followed, obviously it will turn out to be a good poster. Let's see another poster. So there are posters which followed all of these principles very nicely. There are posters which follow only couple of principles, and they look it in that way.
Rishi, in the previous poster itself, can you talk about each one principle and mention what could have been improved from those
Yeah,
perspectives?
so let's look at this poster. Let's talk about one by one each principle. Order, okay. Yes, there is an order. This is a big. Again, there is a confusion here. Alignment. No, I don't think the designer has used the alignment principle rightly here. I would have kept it left aligned properly here. Or if I want to align it a central alignment, I will keep it somewhere else so that other elements are also central alignment. If you see our services, it's placed here, and the services are here. I would prefer to have it here. Are you guys getting the point that I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. So the alignment works connecting the elements with each other, and entire composition communication look as a single piece and not as a separate pieces. So that user don't have to struggle. इसके बाद कहाँ जाना है? इसके बाद what is the next? You naturally make that flow for the user. Here also, if you
Rishi-
see, it's not aligned, the text.
I have a doubt.
Sure.
Like for example, if we are going with the left alignment in a design, and if there's a requirement कि कुछ जगह पे center line करना है, तो can we do that in the poster or any communication creative? Can we do that using two different types of alignments like left and center? Combine
Yes.
कर सकते हैं क्या?
Yes. You can use the left alignment, even right alignment, multiple alignments in a single composition. It totally depends on the content and the context, in which context you are using, what kind of content you have, how much space you have, and what colors you are using. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
For example, this poster, let me share. Can you see the session poster?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you see, here is right aligned. The logo is right aligned by organized by. Okay. Here
Right.
it's
Okay.
left alignment.
Okay.
So depending on how you are using it, it makes the difference.
All right. Okay.
So we looked at the order, alignment, the balance. Okay. What do you guys think? Does this look balanced poster? Come on, shoot your guesses, whatever it is. Okay, so a lot of weight for this poster goes on the upper side, and here it doesn't look well balanced one. Okay. The way these photographs are placed, the way circles are placed. We could actually have an assignment to recreate this poster. Okay, that was about the balance, the composition part. Okay. Look at the poster closely and tell me, do you guys think we could compose it in a better way? So how do you check whether the composition is good or not? You look at each individual element as if it's perfectly at there only and it can't be somewhere else.
Actually, at first glance, it looks like a makeup poster rather than a photography.
Yes. But by placing all these elements that they have in a different way, or it could definitely make it well composed design. And the last element, let's talk about it, the contrast. I think somebody answered about it, right? There's not strong contrast with it. There's a mid-tone, there's a dark tone, there's again mid-tone. So while you creating the contrast, you can use the colors, you can use the shapes, you can use the fonts. A bigger font with a lighter font, lighter weight creates the contrast. Okay, any other good posters? Now here, see, this looks as a well-designed poster because it follows the principle that we just spoke about. Do you feel it while you're seeing the poster?
Yes, this looks balanced.
But it still gives out that it's like it's been
You
written
can see
a
this
lot.
poster also.
But the too much information has been included that the font is too small.
Yes,
We could maybe one of the participants is mentioning that design is balanced, but content could be restricted.
yes. The content is too big and it should be broken down into multiple slides. Unless and until there is no other way, then what you do is that you make the size so big that when someone has to read it, they have the option to zoom it and that it becomes clearly readable. Okay, what are the posters? These are also well-designed posters. You can use the shapes like this to create the balance, to create the order, to create the composition, to create the contrast. Okay, somebody have questions? I guess we answered it. Any other questions? Anything about the design, the challenges that you face, how you design, what process you follow? Hello?
One of the participants is asking
Yeah,
another question, if you don't mind.
sure.
Wait, just a minute. How do you convince someone that one design is better than the other?
How do you convince someone that one design is better than the other? Okay, you check on the principles. Is that design following the golden principles that we just spoke about? If that design is following those principles, it's a good design. It's serving its purpose. It's communicating effectively. So these are the scales that you can check whether the certain design of the poster is good. If it's communicating whatever the message you're trying to communicate effectively, it's a good design.
Someone else is asking, sir, that what software should we use?
Like I said, softwares could be anything. To create professional designs, we use Adobe tools. So I use Adobe Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop. These are the three major tools. For all the designs, graphic design, most of the stuff, it's Adobe Illustrator we use, which creates publication designs. So we use Adobe tools, but like I said, if you have the access, great. If you're not, it's fine. If you know how to design, these tools doesn't make huge difference. You can create designs in Canva, even in the PowerPoint also, or any other tools that you have.
Okay, sir, thank you. There's another question.
Sure.
That how do you select font? They've just written font selection.
How do you select the fonts?
Yes, I think that's
Okay.
what they.
Okay, yes. So all the fonts, you see, each and every font the designer creates, they have certain purpose behind that, okay? And they also have variations. So depending on, it's all depends on what kind of communication you're trying to make, what kind of product service you're talking about, what is it that you're talking about. For example, if there is something very friendly communication you are trying to make, you use the font which has softer curves. If something is very professional and strict communication or certain rules, you use the font that have sharp edges, something like Gothic font. You use, if you want to communicate something very casually or friendly, you use those kind of fonts, Comic Sans. So depending on what kind of communication you're trying to make, you could choose the font.
There's another question, sir. How do you use pictures? Meaning, how do you balance pictures and writings?
Okay, so usually the way our eye follows is first it goes to the visual and then to the word. So always try to prefer have the visuals on the left side and the text on the right side. And depending on the importance of that visual and the text, you could choose the size and the position, whether to keep at the top, mid level, or bottom level.
Any good websites, blogs, or YouTube channels where we can go to see good examples and discussions on design?
Unfortunately, there are not so many, but I'll text few names to Ashwati, and you guys could definitely check out those blogs. I'll also share some resources where you guys can use the visuals and icons. Yeah, for anyone to use. I'll share these details with you guys. Okay, thank you, welcome. Any other questions? Please feel free to ask anything. I will be happy to share it, based of my understanding.
Sir, let's say we want to create an illustration without text. For example, there is a bird that we are trying to show the.
I'm sorry, I
reading-
can't hear you very clearly. Can you repeat, please?
Let's say there is an illustration we want to make,
Uh-huh.
but we don't want to include the text. We want to show a breeding behavior of a bird with visuals only. How do you propose we should go about it?
Okay. So what is your question?
Sir, the question is, if there is no text to convey, only the visuals are there to convey the message.
Mm-hmm.
For example, we want to show, let's say, nesting behavior, breeding behavior, roosting behavior of birds, maybe raptors, eagles. So
Okay.
how do you propose that we should go about it with respect to illustrations?
Yeah. So even if there is just a visual, you could still stick to those principles that we talked about. You could put it in a way that creates visual balance. If there are if that visual itself has sections, you could have the order in it. So you could apply these principles and put it in a visual, but it's very rare that there is only a visual. Either supportive text above the image, you will have to have somewhere so that it communicates what you're trying to communicate.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
The sole purpose of all the design, the graphic design, especially its purpose. Okay, there is a reason that we create something to communicate. So it's so as long as it's serving its purpose, you can call it as a good design. So whether it has text, whether it doesn't have text, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Taking the chat section, any other questions?
So, what is your opinion on generative AI designs? Someone is asking this.
On generative AI what?
AI designs, generative AI designs. What is
Okay. No, I have seen some designs, but I have never really tested out or tried out. But I think it's a good way to create. But it's again like you are the one who is driving, so you should know what is the right way, right? How to input, how to provide the right prompt, right input, and based on that, I think it could be useful in that way. But again, I don't think it will ever replace the conscious design that is created with a lot of human understanding and psychology. So all these colors, font we use, there's a psychology behind that. All these colors, they have particular meaning there. For example, if you want to create something very aggressive or danger or anything, you prefer the red color. If you want to use something soothing, calm, you use the blue color. So in the audience, do we have anyone who uses Adobe tools to create?
Yes, I use Illustrator, Photoshop to create
Okay.
posters or designs.
Okay, nice. Okay, I'll stop sharing. We still have a few minutes. Please feel free to ask questions. Anything about design, anything about graphic design. So
So
I'll
there
also
is
talk. Yeah, please go ahead.
is there an app or a website that will help understand which color goes well with which?
Which color? So there's a color psychology blogs. There are a lot of blogs around that. If you read those details, so once you have understanding that particular color is used for these many things, you could start using accordingly. There are a few websites which we use to pick the colors. I'll share those websites also with you guys. Okay, interesting. In Sketch. And there is a lot to learn and study in design. It looks like a interesting hobby thing. But I studied Bachelor of Fine Arts, which is a 4-year graduation. That also we had graphic design. Then I did masters in graphic design, which is 2.5 years. There also, so it was very much specific to graphic design. And so when we studied design, there are a lot more areas. Today we tried to cover one area, which is principles, which we wanted to it becomes helpful for you to guys create the posters. So in general, while creating the design, I'll quickly talk about the process that we follow. Okay, so when we get the brief from client or for the company that we work in, we don't directly start on designing or thinking creative ideas. So there is a process or structure we follow. I'll quickly take you through the stages that we follow while creating any design, whether it's a publication design, logo design, a poster, or anything. Depending on how much time you have, you squeeze that stages. So first we have information collection and research. Suppose you've got the brief, you want to create this and this. So we collect the information and do the research, whatever understanding we want to build about that subject. Then we do analysis and synthesis of that research. So what are the key elements that we got from that research or information? And from those key elements, we form one single understanding about that product or service or anything. So we did information collection and research, then we did analysis and synthesis. Then based on that synthesis of key points, we explore on the design. It's called exploration stage. We create various explorations that communicates what we tried, what we want to communicate in that analysis synthesis. So after doing a lot of explorations, we choose few things and execute. That is called execution stage. And only in the execution stage, we take few designs from the explorations, which we feel are the best. And once the design is executed, it goes for the testing for the user, for the target audiences. Yeah, so that was the design process. Feel free to ask any questions around design, poster, graphic design.
Rishi, can you also talk about anything specific we should keep in mind while using multiple logos or let's say logos of organizations in the posters?
Ram, I can't hear you clearly. I hope this, principle that we discussed about becomes helpful for you guys to create the poster, and the poster that you guys creating now are better than the one you guys have been designing. And let me know how it goes for you guys.
Sir, when we are designing something digitally, most
Mhm.
probably it is going to go online. So the visuals and the text and the what Ram sir was saying, the logos of any company. I mean, how do we take care the copyright and trademarks of other organizations or institutions or individuals? Like we are not violating anything legally. How do we make sure of that?
You're saying how do we use the logos and brand guidelines correctly?
I mean, how are we making sure that we are not violating any copyrights or trademarks or registered names
Acha.
and informations,
Okay.
those kind of things?
Yeah. So while creating any designs, we are not supposed to use anything randomly from the internet. Okay. So if you need visuals, if you need fonts, if you need icons, there are particular open source platforms where it's clearly mentioned that these are copyright free and can be used. So those are the ideal elements to be used. Another thing, when you are using someone's logo, of course, with their permission, there are certain guidelines to be followed for that logo. For any logo that is created consciously, there are guidelines to be used, and it's very important to stick to those guidelines. Otherwise, it loses its uniqueness or authenticity, and that's why whenever there is a logo for any institution, NGO, anything, there are set of guidelines. Even for CNC, we have guidelines. I think for this. For all the initiatives, I think City Nature Challenge, and if you pick up any logo, even the museum logo and all those things, they have particular set of guidelines to the way they want the logo to be used, so that it preserves its uniqueness and it remains, it appears same everywhere. So for the resources, yeah, you use the open source platforms. For the logos, you stick to the guidelines that they have. While creating the portfolio, how do we balance out the writing and sketches? Okay. Stuti, can you be little elaborative on this? Yes, as long as it's free and commercially free and copyright free, you can use any app to create posters. best if you have the access to Adobe. If not, then PowerPoint, Canva, or any other software that allows you to compose, create, or design. Okay, I'm going through the chat section. Questions? Okay, Stuti. So if you are creating a portfolio as a designer, obviously there should be a lot more designs and visuals, but at the same time, there should be description explaining those designs, the concept, the thought process behind it. A little bit about text will be helpful. For example, if you are putting up any posters or project, you could mention, what was the brief, who were the target audiences, and how did you go about the process of designing. So that helps viewer or somebody who is reviewing your portfolio to understand, the way you have designed those projects. Okay, so there's a question. Any special points to keep in mind when designing for conservation nature causes? Okay, you could use a bit of a friendly fonts. You could use the earthy colors that are more relevant to the nature. Visuals accordingly. I'll also share the website where I, pick up the colors and different shades so that it becomes easier for you guys. And I would definitely like to see some of the posters that you guys create after this, just to see that whether this session was helpful at all or not, nothing at all. Thank you, Nitin. I hope so.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yes, so I guess it is time for us to conclude our session.
Sorry, can you be a little louder?
Sir, I think it is time for us to conclude our session.
All right, great. So yeah, thank you, Ram. Thank you, Ashwati. Thank you, team, for having me here. I had a great time. I hope you guys got to know something that is helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Rishi.
Thank you, Ram. All the best for you guys for the the big day and all the promotional
sir.
designs.
Thank you so much, sir. So I would like to speak a few words.
Sure.
In conclusion, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to all the participants for joining us today for this insightful session led by Rishi sir in collaboration with City Nature Challenge India. As we navigate through the digital landscape, understanding the fundamentals of graphic design becomes crucial in effectively communicating our messages, especially as we prepare for the upcoming City Nature Challenge activities. I express my gratitude to Rishikesh sir for sharing his expertise and insights with us, as well as to WWF India and City Nature Challenge India for facilitating this informative session. I also want to remind you all that following this session, we have an exciting webinar led by CNC Delhi on City Nature Challenge and iNaturalist, where you can learn more about these tools and how to participate. For those interested in joining the City Nature Challenge, please visit the CNC India website, of which the link will be sharing in the chat section right now. And for participants in and around Hyderabad, the registration form will be shared in the chat shortly. Additionally, stay updated with the fun challenges and sessions by following the social pages of CNC India and Hyderabad. Once again, thank you all for your active participation, and I look forward to seeing you in the future sessions. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.